Students, in today's session, we are going to see research aptitude in detail. So, we will be understanding the entire research aptitude unit in one video with the help of important concepts, with the help of important terms, which will help you to know the topic also as well as the entire unit. So, let's start with this research aptitude. Hello students, welcome to Global Online, and on Global Online we have started preparation classes for your APSET examination, wherein we have brought paper 1 complete course. Now this complete course will be conducted in English as well as in Hindi, and this courses will be conducted daily live at 9 p.m. The speciality about this course is that this course will have full syllabus video lectures including topic-wise MCQs and full syllabus notes which can be downloaded in PDF format. At the same time, you have full syllabus mock test and 2000 plus MCQs practice questions which will help you to crack your examination in a very systematic way. In order to understand how to avail this course and how to access this course, you have to go to Google Play Store, download the app that is called as Global Online app, registered yourself with the registered mobile number. Once you registered yourself, you will be able to see the courses. Now in that you have to click your AP, that is Andhra Pradesh SET Examination. Once you click on that and once you pay the fees, you will be able to access all the details very well, where you have the theory classes, the MCQs preparation and much more, which will help you to crack your examination. Syllabus, which is very important for you to understand the syllabus. So basically you have on an average 6 subtopics. The first topic is completely on research, where you will be completing where you will be talking about the meaning of research, types of research, characteristics of research, positivism and post-positivistic approach, which is a very important topic. Definitely there is a question out of this. Methods of research, okay, experimental, descriptive, historical, qualitative, quantitative, and other methods are also there, which we are going to see because those were the part of your questions in the previous year's papers. So methods also, there is definitely one question. Okay, then you have steps. Normally in steps of research there is only one particular pattern of research. That pattern is about, they will be giving you the steps and you have to put it in sequence. But many a times do not underestimate that this question will be straight. Many a times the question is twisted, the question is purposely complicated so that you get confused and you may not be able to answer. So you have to be very thorough with the steps properly. Then thesis and article writing, where you get styles of referencing. One question is coming nowadays on this. Application of ICT in research and research ethics. Now the only topic ICT in research in this today's class, okay, will be not taken because ICT I have merged up with ICT unit, so that even in higher education part or that complete one lecture will be taken so that you remember everything at one go and it will be easier for you in your preparation also. Fine. So now I hope every doubt is clear. As I said, I am going to start now from the first slide. Keep your notepad handy. Whatever things, if you feel whatever sentences maybe not is there in the slide, but when I'm saying, you can please put it down somewhere, which will be really helpful when you're revising the concepts. Okay, so let's start the session for the day. So basically, what is research? So research is something which, it is a search for knowledge and it is an art of scientific investigation. Now, when we talk about research, remember the question on characteristics, like, statement question. In such questions, they use these words, characters like systematic investigation, scientific investigation, rational, logical, empirical. So all these words you can see in the statement type of question. So research is nothing but a search for knowledge, and it is an art of scientific investigation. If this doesn't goes well or this does goes wrong, definitely it has a wrong impact on your research. Okay, so it has to be in a systematic and scientific way of investigation. As per the definition terms, it is nothing but a careful investigation or an inquiry, especially through search for new facts. Now this is also very important, new facts in any branch of knowledge. So when we talk about research, it helps us to give new insights, you can say, or new facts of any branch of knowledge. So that is also one point which you have to take into consideration. Now Coming towards objective of research. Now, based on objectives, you have a statement question. So I'm just going little bit slowly. Try to catch up, the speed. So in case if you are missing something, just update me on that. Okay. So when I'm talking about objectives of research, the first thing is to gain familiarity with a phenomena, that is a process, or to achieve new insights. It means that with the help of exploratory or formulative research, you try to gain something, some familiar process, or you try to bring new insights. So either something which is familiar, it means you can say something but has added, something is added to existing knowledge, or something completely new has been discovered. That is one of the objective of research. Next, to describe the characteristics of a particular individual or a situation or a group, which leads to descriptive research. Now, please try to understand, these are all types of research, you can say, but in the form of what? In the form of objectives they have listed. So when we talk about descriptive research, we are going to do in detail. It talks about certain surveys, it talks about the facts, or it talks about the characteristics, and we term it as what? We term it as descriptive. Then next is to determine the frequency with which something occurs or can be associated with. It means that studying the object, which is nothing but it is called like diagnostic research. So when we diagnose the thing, it is based on the frequency. So with the help of this frequency, we try to associate something, something with something else. So that is nothing but it is a part of what? It's a part of diagnostic research. And lastly, to test the hypothesis. Now we know very well this is a tentative statements which we make, but definitely we have to come to a conclusion. So these tentative statements, or you can say the hypothesis testing, will help us to conclude our research. And that's what is the objective of research. So the research wants, or research comes up with something which is completely new, or something which is existing and has added something to it, something which can be described, something which can be diagnostic, or something which can come up with a conclusion with the help of hypothesis testing. So here we have what? Here we have objectives of research. Yes, from this also there are questions, like very well, questions have been framed on hypothesis, questions are been framed on either exploratory or diagnostic or a descriptive research. We are going to see in detail now in the in the coming options. Okay, now in the coming slides. Now when we talk about types of research, now this is very confusing part where a lot of students get a little bit confused. So I've kept it easy and I have kept it with examples so that it will help you to understand the things very well. And I have added only those part of notes which you can get into proper understanding. Okay. All your doubts, you please keep it in the chat box. I will try my level best to complete all the doubts. Otherwise, I will just note out. In case if I am not able to solve, I will note it down because I have to complete the entire unit. If you are not satisfied, I will take it, take it and I will explain you. Everything is there in the slides. You just have to listen carefully. Okay. So let's start with the first is applied research and fundamental research. Now we know very well fundamental research is also called as what? Fundamental research is also called as the basic research. Okay. It also called as, now I'm writing over here, as I said, you can write it down in your notepad. It is also called as pure research, or it is also called as fundamental research. Okay. So first, let's understand applied research. So applied research aims at finding a solution for an immediate problem. Okay. Now, when you see the word over here, immediate problem, many a times students get confused. Then what is the difference between applied research and action research? That also I will come. Okay. First, let me clear this and then I'll come to that difference also. So when I say applied research, it is something which helps to find a solution for an immediate problem which is faced by a society or individual, like for example market research. But as I said, even when we talk about action research, it helps us to reach to the solution with the help for an immediate problem. Then what is the difference between both of them? So when I talk about applied research,
applied research, takes into consideration the wider population. Whereas when I talk about action research takes into consideration the local concern, the local problem. Whereas applied research takes into consideration the wider population. In action research, a very little amount of training is required in order to solve the problem. But in applied research, you require a considerable amount of training in order to solve the problem which has been faced by the society. Action research can be done by the practitioners, okay, who requires a little amount of training or a little amount of knowledge to come to a solution to that particular local problem or local concern. Whereas for applied research, you need to have the experts in order to find a solution to the problem. So this is how it gets differed. I hope it is very clear with everyone what is applied research first of all, and how does applied research refers to or differs with action research. Okay. Then next which we have is fundamental research. As I said, there are different names called as basic research or pure research. Now, fundamental research, frequently called as basic or pure research, seeks to extend the boundaries of knowledge in a given area with no necessary immediate application. So there is no immediate application the way it is required in applied research. Okay. It is concerned with generalizations and with formulation of theory. Now, generalization, it means coming up with a statement. Example is research on human behavior. So when we talk about research on human behavior, that can be done with the help of theories, formulation of theory, and coming to a conclusion. Such type of research, we can term it as what? We can term it as the fundamental research. Okay. So fundamental research, it goes from specific to general, or you can say that it gives us theory, or it helps us to gain knowledge, or you can say it helps us to come up with a natural phenomena. So that is the meaning of what? That is the meaning of fundamental research. Now see, as I said, whatever I'm saying, you can please put it somewhere, because everything is not in the part of slide. So important sentences, if you feel, you can note it down very well, and at the same time listen to the explanation also. Okay, then we have next is descriptive and analytical research. So when we talk about descriptive research, okay, now again listen carefully here also. So descriptive research is a research which includes surveys and fact finding. Okay, now depending upon what? Depending upon the various situations, or depending upon the various circumstances. The term ex post facto. Now what is the term ex? We have a lot of questions on ex post facto also. That is after the event has occurred. So you can even remember it as after the fact. Okay, is used to describe this research. I'll repeat again, the term ex post facto is used to describe descriptive research, as the researcher has no control over the variables. He can only report what has happened, because it is after the fact, no? So only the reporting of what has happened or happening can be listed out. For example, frequency of shopping or preference of people. So this type of research, manipulation of variables is not possible. That also can be part of a question. Whether manipulation can be possible? No, manipulation here cannot be possible in your descriptive research. Okay. Now, in this, there is one more topic, that was quasi-experimental. There was one more type, that was quasi-experimental, which is another type of descriptive research, which again looks into what? Which is definitely a scientific way of experiment. It relates to what? It relates to the scientific way of experiment, and it is not pure, it is just descriptive. It is not pure, it is just descriptive. Okay. Then we have is analytical research. Analytical researcher use the facts or information already which is available and analyze to make a evaluation of the material. Okay, whatever material or whatever concern is there, analysis of that is made, use with the help of what? With the help of the information or facts which is already available. Fine. Then, as we know, the next type of research is qualitative and quantitative research. You also have a lot of questions on this. Okay, there is like, for example, if you mix both of them, qualitative and quantitative research, you get something called as mixed research. Okay, so now when we talk about qualitative research is something which is concerned with qualitative phenomena, okay, which is relating to or involving quality or kind. Now, This type of research, now this is very, very important in statement question. This type of research aims at discovering the motives and desires using the in-depth interview for the purpose. So how you can gain the information for this type of research with the help of in-depth interviews. Other techniques of this research can be one word association test, or sentence completion test, or story completion test, and similar techniques which will help you to give an idea about with the idea about the phenomena or the quality or the kind. For example, attitude or opinion research to find out how people feel to what they think about a particular subject. Okay, so what they exactly think about a particular subject. So if you want to find out information about this, you have to go with the sentence completion or a depth interview in order to find out the research, which is termed as qualitative research. Now, when we talk about qualitative research is something which is non-numerical, which we do not, which do not has, numbers associated with it. So we call it as what? We call it as the non-numerical. You can say it is, it is non-numerical, non-descriptive. Means it can be in the formation or expressed in the form of words. Here the goal is what? Here the goal is to understand, to feel, to express. That is more given importance. You can say that qualitative research is the one which addresses the why and how. Okay, that is very, very important, that which addresses the whys and hows. Okay, now when we talk about quantitative research, so quantitative research is based on the measurement of quality or amount. Okay, so you can say that one which which is numerical, which is quantified. It is applicable to the phenomena that can be expressed in the terms of what? And it can be expressed in the terms of quantity. So as I said, numerical. Quantity, it is nothing but it is called as what? It is called as numerical. Fine. Okay. Now see this, I mean to say, when we are going through all these concepts, like for example, just I'll take a note of it. It is not that it is just theoretical. On every, I have made a slide in this form that on every slide there were questions. The only thing is that the questions, are being in a different way, but I have added so amount of content so that the questions are very clear when they are being asked. So you have to be careful. It is just not theoretical is going on. Keep all your senses open and understand, okay, from this particular question can be found. Like for example, here how I told you, how can be applied and action research be different, or what is the difference, and I hope you have taken down that. Then here descriptive and analysis. And descriptive ex post facto we did quasi experimental also, which helps us to understand the difference and the way of identifying it. Then we did qualitative and quantitative research. Now moving ahead towards conceptual and empirical research. So when we talk about conceptual research, it is related to some abstract ideas or theory, and it is generally used by the philosophers and thinkers to develop new concepts or to reinterpret the existing ones. So it is not only that it is helpful for developing only the new concepts, but it also can be useful for interpreting the existing ones. Okay. Now when I say empirical research, now in empirical research also a lot of students have the doubts, as I said many a times, that you should ensure that empirical research is something which is based on the observation. So you can talk about experimental, you can call it as experimental research, which relies on experience or coming up with conclusions which are being capable of being verified by observation, or you can tell it as what? By experiment. So there are a lot of questions on empirical research also which students get confused when they see the question. So you should remember very well that it is based on the observation or experiment. And how it can be done? It can be with the help of the data available, with the help of the evidence, or with the help of the performance. Okay. And it can help to prove the certain variable and how one variable has an impact on another. So this is how empirical data or empirical research can be useful. Then next we have other part is explanatory research. So when we go to explanatory research, it goes beyond description. Okay, it goes beyond description and attempts to explain the reason for the phenomena that the descriptive research has only been observed. So here just important, just remember this thing very well, that the research used theories or at least hypothesis to account for the forces that has a certain phenomena to occur. It means that in order to prove this research, okay, either it is the theories, the use of theories or hypothesis are taken into account. Exploratory research, as I said, it is a developmental of hypothesis rather than of what? Rather than of testing. Historical research, which is using historical sources like the documents, the remains, etc., to study the events or ideas of past. So that there is also question on historical research in your syllabus as well as in your previous year question papers. Conclusive research. Now see, this is very important again. Researcher is free to pick up a problem. Conclusive. So here the researcher is free to pick up a problem, redesign the inquiry as he or she proceeds, and is prepared to conceptualize as he wishes. So conclusive research, wherein the more control is in the hand of what? Is in the hand of researcher. That has to be taken into consideration. Okay. Now, going ahead is the next topic. So here we have completed all the parts. One part is completed wherein we have seen every type of research, what is means. In short, I have given you all the important keywords which you have to keep in mind in order to attempt this questions very well. Okay. Now next topic which you have is research philosophy. Okay. It is also called as research onion. Now you can see, sometimes there can be questions on this. So let's have a quick look. So when we talk about research philosophy, or this particular slide is also called as what? Is also called as research. Diagrammatically also I have kept it in the next slide, but let's understand over here properly. So when I say research philosophy, which you have a research philosophy in the part of positivism and post-positivistic way. So it is something that, it is the set of beliefs your research is based on. So you have certain beliefs under positivism, certain beliefs under post-positivistic way, and according to that research is, carried out or it is based on. So it is called as research philosophy. Research approaches. So the method, like for example, it can be inductive, it can be deductive, it can be qualitative, or it can be quantitative, which method you are, taking into consideration. Next you have is research strategies. So how you conduct your research. Do you do it with the help of experiment? Do you do with the help of action research? Whether you get involved in the form of case study method. Then choices. So which methods, how many methods one can choose. Whether you can go with a mono-single method where you can mix the methods, or you can go with a multi-method. Okay. So as I said, whether you are using qualitative, quantitative, or you are using both. So that choices you have to make. Time horizons. So time horizons, it is with the help of what? The point of time. So either it can be cross-sectional, okay, or one section to another, or it can be longitudinal, taken into consideration a long period of time for your research. And then we have the techniques and procedures in the form of data collection methods, in the form of analysis, in the form of sampling. Okay, so this is how is your research onion built up. So wherein you have the first part as research philosophy, then you have the approaches, then you have the strategies or the methods you can say, then you have the choices, okay, then you have choices with the methods, how many you can take at a time. Then you have something called as time horizons, where you can implement your cross-sectional or longitudinal, and then you have the techniques, okay, of either the collection, analysis, or sampling strategy. This is how your research onion is built up. So you have to remember this very well. This also slide is important. Any form of question can be, can come out of this research onion in any form. Okay. Now this research philosophy, so let's understand this research philosophy in detail. So research philosophy is nothing but a combination of ontology and epistemology. So what is now this ontology and epistemology in detail? Let's understand, because the combination of this two gives us research philosophy. So now basically what it means. So when we talk about ontology, it is something which believes, okay, in reality. And epistemology, something which it needs explanation. Now how? Let's understand with the help of this particular slide. So when I say ontology, it is something which is concerned with true or real and the nature of reality. Either something which is true, something which is real, or you can say the nature of reality. So it helps us to ask the question like what is the existence, what is the nature of existence. Whereas when we talk about epistemology, it is concerned with the nature of knowledge and different methods of gaining the knowledge. It means how do you know, or how do you know, how do you know it, or how, oh, sorry, what do you know it, or how do you know it. So it answers the question for what and how. So ontology will give us the true knowledge, and epistemology will help us the method to gain that true knowledge, and the combination of this two gives us what? Gives us research philosophy. Okay, so this, at least this much part you can keep in mind. There can be a question out of this also, so you have to remember it very well. Fine. Then now comes here the next important topic. Now here I'll be little bit slow, because lot of students still have lot of doubts in positivism and post positivism, so you have to be very careful for this topic. So we have positivism approach and we have post positivism approach, or post positivistic approach. So let's understand what exactly they, now we know very well this comes under what? It comes under research philosophy. And what is research philosophy? Research philosophy is nothing but set of beliefs. So under positivism, what type of belief you have? That is something which believes in reality, okay, which can be measured and known, and known and can be called as quantitative, which is quantified. So once again I will tell you, we are studying what? We are studying positivism and post positivism approach. So which comes under what? Which comes under research philosophy. It is nothing but the set of beliefs. So when we talk about positivism approach, it believes in what? It believes in reality, okay, something which can be measured and can be called as, okay, or it is known as quantitative. Believe a true and objective reality that can be studied by applying various methods and principles. I'm talking about positivism only. Denies intuition. It does not takes into consideration. Denies, it means that it does not take into consideration the intuition, and it is concerned with objectivity. It is only concerned with objectivity, with the help of what? With the help of scientific study. And that's how it talks about what? It talks about the positivism or positivistic approach. Okay, now when we talk about post positivism, okay, let's come into post positivism. So post positivism basically takes into consideration what, or believes what? It believes into creation of new knowledge. It believes into what? It believes into creation of new knowledge in the form of what? Which is, you know, which is supported or which is committed. So remember these two things I'm going very slowly, especially for this particular topic, so you should be able to understand it very well. So when I'm talking about post positivism, it talks about what? It believes in the creation of new knowledge. Okay, now this can be done with the help of what? This can be done with the help of your theories. It can be done with the help of your hypothesis. It can be done with the help of, you know, values of the researcher, which is more and more concerned about what, or more concerned towards what? It is more and more concerned towards your subjectivity. Okay, please try to understand here. Where your positivism is concerned about objectivity, your post positivism is concerned about what? It is concerned about subjectivity, and it is based on what? It is study is based on your you can say experience. Okay, the study is consideration or taken into consideration based on experience. Now let's first, you know, again understand this little bit in detail. It talks about what? Positivism. See, this is another slide which will help you to understand things more betterly. We have done the you know, earlier meaning. Now little bit in detail, let us understand this in detail, so that the topic will be very well remembered by you, or you can, you know, keep a proper attention towards it. Now yes, when we talk about positivism approach, Shreya, objectivity and subjectivity. Okay, wait. Okay, see, when we talk about, you know, okay, yes, just a minute, I'll just clear the screen. Okay, the objective, here when we talk about objective, it is something which is refers to the real fact or the fact finding. Subjective, it means which is something which is based on, you know, descriptive in nature. But we do not go in descriptive. Here we only depend upon what, or we only rely on the facts. Okay. And subjective, which where we rely on what, when where we rely on something which is more into descriptive. That is a difference you can take. Okay. What is the type of questions on this topic? Now, positivism and post-positivism approach. Basically, that's what I have highlighted, Babita, if you can see what I have highlighted in the red in this particular slide. Based on this type of statements, you will get the question, okay? Which believes, positivism believes in what, post-positivism believes in what. It can be studied through the help of what, okay? That is positivism, which I have already highlighted in red. It concerns with what? Positivism is concerned with objective approach, whereas post-positivism concerned with subjective approach. Positivism approach, it supports which type of study, and the study is based on what. So these are all the red markings. These are basically something which is through which we can form the question. But as I said, I have one more slide for this. So if you can see this slide, it will be much more clear. Okay, let me go for this also first, and then I will come back to the chat box with the doubts. Now, when we talk about positivism, as I said, it believes in reality, which is stable and can be observed and described from an objective point of view, which produce the quantitative data by using large sample, and it is concerned with hypothesis testing. Data is highly specific and precise. Okay, and reliability is high over here. Okay, as it is a it is based on the facts finding or factual information, so you can have a high amount of reliability over here. Post-positivism, I said that it believes in the qualitative data. It uses small samples. It concerned with generalizing the theories, which is rich in the subjective data, you can say, and reliability is low over here. Okay, fine. I hope it is very clear with this particular approach also, two approaches also. At the same time, it is clear with your type of questions, which type of questions is expected. Okay, and at the same time, you know how to remember these things, or what exactly you need to remember with respect to this particular topic. Okay, now coming one by one and coming to your doubts, Mr. Khan, you said pragmatism. So when we talk about pragmatism, it is basically what works best in research. Okay, it is involved in research designing. Now, what exactly you mean by that? It means what type of, how type of, when type of operational decisions with respect to research. So this pragmatic research philosophy, you can say, it will help us to conduct a research in innovative, pragmatic, in innovative and the dynamic way. So it will help us to conduct the research in innovative and dynamic way of finding a solution to a problem. So that much you can keep in mind. Is it clear? Okay. I hope this is very clear with everyone. Okay. Now, Shreya, still if you have a doubt, I will just put emphasizes on objective and subjective still if it is. So objective, when I say, it is something which has, as I said, no real existence. Whereas when I say subjective, that depends upon existence, which comes with the help of your you can say a bit of intuition. So that type of approaches is followed in positivism or post-positivism. Is it clear now? Okay, I hope this is very clear with everyone. We can move ahead. Fine. Yes. Now, research design. So now, yes, we had a topic on research design also. Students were confused, so I thought I should get today this also properly. So research design is nothing but a decision regarding what, where, when, how much, and by what means, which is concerned with an research study or inquiry or a research study. So like for example, it includes an outline of what researcher will do from writing a hypothesis to its operation implication. So like for example, just now I said about pragmatic research, pragmatism in research philosophy. So this will be included. So it means that you're following a research design which is innovative and dynamic. Okay, so you can say that your research is more of pragmatic philosophy. That was, you can say. So basically it is a decision that what is your study about, why is the study being made, where the study is being carried out, or what type of data is required. So the decisions regarding your sample design, your techniques of data collection, your data analysis, and your time period all gets combined into one, and that one frame is called as what, either you call it as the research design, or in simple terms you can also call it as a sample. If it is only related to sampling, you can call it as in sampling frame. Fine. Now here you have questions on this also, what I will come, because in the coming slides I have kept it. So now, like for example, see, if it is sampling design, it is specifically under research design, it is only about sampling design. So it tells about the methods of selecting the items. What type of sampling design have you followed in your research? If it is observational design, it talks about conditions under which the observations are made. If it is about statistical design, how many times or what type of information and type of information is gathered and analyzed and studied, you can say. Operational design, so it talks about techniques. So please keep these words in mind. That's the reason I have bolded. Sampling design, it talks about selection of the items. Observational design, it talks about conditions under which the observations are made. Statistical design, it talks about the items or the information which is to be analyzed. And operational design, it talks about the techniques by which the procedure of sampling, statistics and observations can be carried out. So this is a part of what? This is a part of your research design decision. So individually also, if they are asking you, you should know how to answer it. Okay. Now, so what is the use, what are the features of research design? We'll quickly have a little bit attention towards this. So the source and type of information, it helps us to plan the source and type of information relevant to the research design. So it gives relevant source and information. It makes a strategy in order to study the data, that is to analyze the data. It includes time and budget also, and it specifies the population. So you get an accurate answer with respect to source, type of information, strategy, analysis, time, cost and population. And that's how is the use of research design is made for. Now, under research design itself, you have important components or concepts, you can say, that is your variables. So you have independent variable and dependent variable. Independent variable will talk about cause, dependent variable which talks about effect. Okay. So when we say independent variable which talks about the cause which can be manipulated, dependent variable which talks about the effect and can be measured. Okay, so please remember, many times there are question also, which variable can be manipulated, which variable can be measured, which variable results into what. So you have to remember very well. Independent variable talks about the cause, the effect which is seen on dependent variable. So we can say that independent variable can be manipulated, whereas dependent variable can be measured. Apart from this, we have other variables also, that is confounding variable, extraneous variable and intervening variable. So let's have a look at them also quickly. So when we talk about confounding variable, it is something which affects the relationship between two variables, that is independent and as well as dependent variable. So there is if the relationship affects, or if relationship is affected between the two variables by any third variable, that is called as what? That is called as confounding variable. Whereas when we talk about extraneous variable, it is a variable, extraneous variable is any variable one is not interested. Maybe you're not interested in studying that variable, but it has some effect on the effect. So effect where we can see on dependent variable. Now for example, we might want to know how the number of hours that a basketball player trains per week affects his game, average points per game. So now we do not want to study that, but definitely our study is affecting, the dependent variable, and that's the reason it comes into picture, and we call it as extraneous variable, which we did not intended to study, but it has an effect. When we talk about intervening variable, it's something that impacts the relationship between independent and dependent variable. Now, usually the intervening variable is caused by the dependent variable and itself is a cause of dependent. Okay, that is intervening variable. Again, I'll with the help of example also I'll explain. Like for example, poverty. Okay, and you want to study about the longevity and poverty, the relation between them. But yes, when we talk about poverty, the lack of access, like for example, lack of access to the welfare, health welfare care, can definitely somewhere intervene the longevity. Okay, it can shorter the longevity and has an effect. So it is, it's caused by the independent variable. It is caused, and itself, it can result into cost to what, towards the dependent variable. So in this type of questions, I mean to say, this both the three slides which I did, concepts, dependent variable, independent variable, and the remaining variable. Okay, this type of variables questions are only seen with the examples, and we have done this in the class also. When we talk about such type of questions, they have given lot of time. It is seen that they have given examples. With the help of examples, they have either told us to find the dependent variable, they have told us to find the independent variable, or yet there are hardly one or two questions on the different variable, but many a times they confuse us with dependent and independent variable. Okay, so that is what you have to keep in mind very well when you're answering such questions. And it is always seen that, see, when you're reading the question has a huge length of example, but you should know what exactly you need to take and what exactly you need to keep aside, so that your question is not twisted, complicated, and you come to an answer in the easiest form. Because many times we have in the class itself, I have seen this in the lecture, that the sentence is complicated and students get stuck up with the sentence itself, and that's the reason they find it very difficult to come to the answer. Fine. Now coming next to, yes, when someone was asking about formulative research, if I'm not wrong, I can't now scroll the messages, but yes, as I said, there is a slide for this, so we will go for this also. Now, difference between, that's the reason I gave some gap and I kept it. Now let's understand the form explorative and descriptive research. Now explorative is also called as what, a formulative research, descriptive diagnostic research. Okay, now overall design. Okay, let us understand the difference. So when we talk about overall design, flexible design has been found in exploratory and formulative research as considered with the help of what, the aspect of the problem, with the help of the problem. Whereas when we talk about descriptive and diagnostic, it is a rigid, we have a rigid design, which is minimized bias and maximum reliability can be seen over here. Wherein sample design, okay, sampling. Now see, sampling, statistical, observational, operational, I have all taught you all this word. So when we talk about sampling, non-probability sampling, now we are going to do non-probability sampling also, what it is. Whereas in descriptive and diagnosis, we can see the probability sampling which is implemented. When you go with statistical design, okay, no pre-planned design, it is flexible. So now you don't have to keep in mind it is flexible, that's the reason there is no pre-planned design. Now here it is rigid, obviously it will require what, it will require a pre-planned design. Observational design, when we talk about, it is unstructured, see, flexible, no pre-planned, so obviously it is going to result into unstructured instrument. Whereas in descriptive and diagnostic, it is going to result into what, a structured instrument. Coming to operational design, okay, we have seen operational. Under operational design, we have also seen what, we have seen something called as what, something called, I mean to say, under operational design, we talked about what, we talked about the techniques. Okay, now when we talk about operational design, okay, let's see, under operational design, it is talking about no fixed decision or technique which is implemented. Whereas in descriptive and diagnostic, advanced decision regarding the operational procedure is to be planned properly, or it is taken into consideration. Why? Because it is it is something which is planned, something which is structured, something which has to be in place. Okay, still, I mean to say, like for example, if you have a doubt, Shreya, I think you were the one who have asked this question. So if I mean to say, formulative research, if you want to understand what is formulative research, or if it is not clear, it is something which gains, okay, or it is something, as I said in the objectives of research, it is something which gives us, or which helps us to acquire some new insights. Okay, or you can also say, in other words, it helps us to formulate, okay, a problem to develop what? To develop the hypothesis, which can be done, okay, in the form of we are exploring it, and also which is known as what? It is known as formulative research. That comes, much in handy to remember the things very well. Fine. Okay. Pragmatic means practical. Yes, Kiran Mai. Pragmatic means practical. Yes, but we are talking about how practically in research, how we will use that pragmatism with the help of research philosophy. Because research philosophy talk about what? Set of beliefs. Okay. So what practical? When we talk about practical, but in what sense? Practical, it means giving innovative or dynamic way towards your research philosophy, towards your set of belief when you're conducting the research. Is it clear? Okay, fine. Shelly, see this formulative and descriptive research, basically how an overall research is conducted. When we talk about formulative research, it is something which helps us to give new insights or new knowledge, where we need to keep the design flexible, where we need to, you can't pre-plan because it is flexible. You have to, it depends upon the situation. It's no fixed decision will work out. You need to be, unstructured improvement. Why? Because it more is concerned about the situation or the problem. Whereas when we talk about descriptive or diagnostic, it is rigid in nature, as we know the reliability. We definitely have to plan the thing, structure it out, and in advance we have to decide the operation procedure. Is it clear? Okay. Both the questions of pragmatism and the difference is explained, I hope, very well. Okay. Now, yes, when we talk about cross-sectional and longitudinal, yes, you can see more of, questions on this also. So when we talk about cross-section, so one section, okay, with another sections, okay, another section. So one section and another section when studied togetherly, or like for example in any of the research, when you need to use a cross sectional study, okay, used to like for example you need to have a cross sectional research. Like for example, let us take an example of the culture. Okay, take an example of one culture with another, with respect to the lifestyle, with respect to with respect to their set of beliefs or standard of living. So when we are studying it with one or another, one culture with another, we can call it as what we can call, taken an example of cross cultural, now cross sectional, sorry. Now when we talk about longitudinal, which is from the diagram itself, which talks about a longer period of time. Okay, starting from like for example you want to learn the habits. So starting from an infant level to the grown up level, you have to do the research on the continuous regular interval basis. That will be resulting into what? A longitudinal research. Fine. Yes, but still if you want to have it more in detail, let's quickly have a look over the cross-sectional and longitudinal in detail. So when we talk about cross-sectional studies, they are quick to conduct as they are compared to longitudinal. So if you talk about quickness or promptness, it is seen in cross-sectional rather in longitudinal, because here we need to wait for years or maybe even for decades. Okay, a cross-sectional study is conducted at a given point of time, whereas a longitudinal study requires as I said, proper or regular intervals, because you need to research on as per the different age groups, you can say. So you have to wait, or you have to revisit the participants, can be an exact word. Cross-sectional studies conducted with different samples, whereas the longitudinal study is conducted with the same samples. Now see, this is not just the difference between we are reading. Please try to understand, based on this only there can be lots of questions. So you have to be very careful when you are talking about this two sections or two set of examples. Cross-sectional is conducted cross-sectional is conducted with different samples, whereas longitudinal is conducted with the same samples over the years, as I said, example also I gave you. Now, cross-sectional studies cannot pin down cause and effect relationship, which can be done under longitudinal. So longitudinal gives us it can gives us the difference between the cause and effect relationship. Multiple variables can be studied at a single point under cross-sectional. Very important. whereas only where one variable is studied under the longitudinal study. Cross sectional is not only quicker but also comparatively cheaper, whereas longitudinal is it's lengthy by the name itself, and definitely it tends to be expensive. So this if you understand this properly, the concept, from this only you can get, a lot of answers which will help you to solve your problem questions very well. But you should know exact difference and understand it very well. Okay, now, yes, hypothesis. We have a question on this also. So, what is hypothesis? Hypothesis is nothing but the combination of two words. That is, hypo is tentative, thesis, which refers to a statement. So, a tentative statement, and we have to understand the relationship. We define it as what a statement for tentative relationship of two or more variables. We have to test them and we have to come to a conclusion. Okay, after the conclusion or verification, we call it as what? We call it as hypothesis. Now, how is the nature of hypothesis? So when we talk about nature of hypothesis, it is something which is conceptual. Okay, conceptual, it means, like for example, where the framework, certain framework is involved in with your tentative statement. It is a verbal statement. We have to prove this verbal statement, and it means we have to verify this statement which we have. It is in a declarative form, and whatever we have declared, we have to prove it with the help of explanation. Okay, Shreya, see, certain concepts, no, I am extremely sorry for this. As I said, if I am not able to come again, because there are a lot of slides, and as per the deadline, I have to complete. So don't worry, you can refer to it to my video later on also. And you still, if you're not getting, you can come in the regular lectures, because in crash course we are going to take this units also. That time I'll explain, because if I sit with one topic, no, I will not be able to complete my schedule or what has been planned for the day. Fine. So yes, so now it has empirical referent. Now when I say empirical referent, as I said, empirical, it means it is based on observation, and based on that we have to come to a conclusion. When we talk about hypothesis, it is a future reference. It is something which, we have to put it from a future reference of point. Only after the verification we can declare the accepted form of hypothesis, and it is done definitely with the help of what? With the help of scientific research. Okay, means all the research activities are designed with the help of verification. Fine. Now, see, this particular slides will, till then there were only questions on examples of hypothesis. You have to identify the null or the alternate hypothesis, or once there was a question as what is hypothesis, they had asked in the form of definition. But any question can come on nature or features or objective. That's the reason I'm just revising this quickly. Okay, so what does hypothesis do? Hypothesis is a temporary solution. Now why we say temporary solution? Because we have to, in order to come to the truth, we have to investigate, we have to do a research. It is basically, it specifies what to study, and it provides all the possible solution. Each hypothesis can lead to or can formulate another hypothesis. Yes, a preliminary hypothesis may take the shape of final hypothesis after it is proved. When we are talking about hypothesis, that is a preliminary form of hypothesis. Once it proved, it gets converted into final hypothesis. Now, each hypothesis provides the investigator with which may be objectively tested and accepted or rejected. Now this is, we know very well, it is tested, after which it is either accepted or rejected, and leads for interpreting the results, which gives us a definite statement. So a tentative statement after the results will result into a definite statement, and the conclusions will be drawn based on that the conclusions will be drawn. So please remember, here they have just explained the whole process. It is a tentative statement which will be tested. Accordingly, it will be either accepted or rejected, and that tentative statement will result into a definite statement, and based on what we can come ahead with the conclusions. Now, you have to remember the functions of the hypothesis can be condensed into threefold function. It delimits the field of investigation, because we have to definitely, after testing, it tells us what exactly to be taken into consideration or not. It sensitizes the researcher so that the researcher can work selectively, focusing on what exactly he has to prove. And it offers simple means for collecting evidence to the verification. So it delimits, it means that it makes the work easier, it helps the researcher to focus on exactly what to come with, and it simplifies the process. So this is what the main function of hypothesis. Now yes, so important of hypothesis. So hypothesis is nothing but an investigator's eyes. It focuses on research, very very important. It has to be clear and specific. It prevents blind research. You know very well, when the blind research is something, when the researcher is not available, who are the respondent are not available, who are the researchers. So it does not allow blind research. They help to provide direction, okay, and prevent the review of irrelevant literature. So you don't have to, you need, what is useful and which data to be taken and go ahead, and which data to be left out. As I said, it synthesizes the researcher investigator. It means it helps you to focus only on the important concept, and it gives a greater clarity to the problem, okay. So just make sure that it makes the work of researcher easier. That is the importance of hypothesis. Now, as you know, we have null hypothesis and we have alternate hypothesis. Null hypothesis, which is denoted by HO, alternate by H1 and HA. Null hypothesis gives negative, you can say, it means it talks about what a negative statement that says there is no relation, whereas the alternate hypothesis, it talks about a positive statement which says that there exists a relationship, okay. So here also you can see there is statement given, and based on the statements you have to say that either what can be accepted, what can be rejected, or you can get in the form of type 1 or type 2 error. So here this on hypothesis 2 only this questions can be based, okay. Now let's understand the meaning of approach now. So you have inductive and deductive approach. Many students do a lot of mistakes here also. Many a times it is seen that they just mug up the approaches, and then when the statement comes in the form of example, they do a lot of mistake. So as I said to you, inductive, in it means it keeps on coming in, so it goes adding up, okay. So you start with something which is very specific, which add ups and come to what? It comes to general, okay. So it is something from a specific, that specific is nothing but it is called as particular, okay, and it takes into consideration the pattern, the statement, and the theory is generalized. It means it comes to a conclusion. So when we talk about inductive research, okay, it is moving from specific to broader generalization, okay. It is ensuring that what observation based on which the pattern is there is a pattern based on which the tentative statement is formed, and then comes a generalization. When we talk about deductive, okay, sorry, induction or inductive approach is also called as bottom up approach. Bottom up. Now there were questions in 2019 cycle, there were questions on this also, which is called as what type of approach. So remember, it is bottom up approach. In, okay, so it starts from below. So bottom up approach. Deductive approach, it's top down approach. It starts from a generalization, deduct, which goes on reducing, and it comes to something which is very particular or specific, okay, wherein the theory based on this, the hypothesis are been framed, observations are done, and the confirmation, it means what needs to be accepted and what needs to be rejected is decided, and based on that we get this approaches, that is inductive and deductive. Again, in inductive and deductive there is no simple question seen. The questions are based on the examples, okay, wherein you have to understand it very well. Many a times even a simple form of question, students sit and try to recall, and they end up wrong with a wrong option, is because they have done the by hearting part, and that doesn't work out when you have to conceptually answer the question. So you have to be very careful, make some keywords which I have given, you have to just remember those keywords in mind very well, okay. So many times you get such type of questions also, inductive, which results into observation, generalizations, and coming up to a theory. whereas in deductive it talks about theory, predictions, and resulting to what experiment. But in case if you're getting confused, you stick to one part automatically. When you once you practice certain questions on this, it will be better. But don't try to by heart this, it is going to not help you out. Okay, that rote type of learning. Then yes, so now we have a type 1 error and type 2 error. So this also a lot of questions are seen on this. Okay, so now when we talk about type 1 error, that is the false positive. So type 1 error is the one which occurs if any research rejects a null hypothesis that is actually true. So the hypothesis which is actually true is been rejected, wherein we get what we get type 1 error, which is also been denoted by alpha. So here the correct decision would be do not reject the null hypothesis. So you may get a statement what will be the correct decision in such type of cases. So it is do not reject the null hypothesis. Now when we come up with a correct correct conclusion or inferences, so it is something which is called as what, true negative. Okay, that is which has to be rejected, but it has been what it is actually which is rejected but it is actually to be true. So such type of error will be called as what, type 1 error. Now when we talk about type 2 error, it is occurs if a researcher has to reject it, the null hypothesis, but has actually it's to reject a null hypothesis that is actually false in the population. So it has to be rejected but has to be accepted. So such type of error, when it is done, it will be called as what, type 2 error. So correct decision had been rejecting the null hypothesis. So when you do not reject, okay, you have to ensure that you are not rejecting the null hypothesis. But if you do that, your type 1 error occurs. When you have to reject the null hypothesis but you have accepted it, so your type 2 errors occur. So that is false negative, false positive. Okay, in this question was seen in the form of match the following. Okay, so when we are doing our crash course and practice question comes, so I will bring that match the following also, and if you want with question also, I'll help you to understand in detail. Fine. Okay, now measurements, another important point. Now see, this slide I have not changed because I think this is the best slide to understand this topic. We have done it many times, but let's have a quick revision for this also. So when we talk about scales, so you have basically 4 scales, that is nominal scale, ordinal scale, interval scale, and ratio scale. Here also there was here we had match the following in this type of question. So when we talk about nominal scale, the scale which is which categorizes, labelizes, classifies or identifies the type or kinds of things that cannot be quantified. It is just giving category. So when we say it cannot be quantified, it means it cannot be given a numeric value. They don't have any numeric value, so it cannot be doing any such functions such as addition, subtraction, division, or multiplication. It just gives category, and hence it is called as categorical variable. So it is nothing but it is called as what? It is called as categorical variable, which just gives categories. Nothing but it is having the work of what? Giving the categories. When we go ahead to the second scale, okay, that is your ordinal scale. So the ordinal scales along with the category now goes one step ahead and provides a rank to the object. So like for example, if you see best to worst or first to last. So I have given example also over here, like hottest to coldest, lightest to heaviest, or richest to poorest. Basically, if you can just give a rank, that is first, second, third, and so on. So ordinal scales goes one step ahead than the nominal scales, and along with the category, it also gives what? It also gives an order. Okay, it also gives an ranking. It provides the ranks, or you can say it provides the order. Now when we talk about interval scale, okay, so interval scale does not only categorizes the thing, okay, does not only gives the ranking or order, but also gives a proportionate interval, equal interval, okay, or distance between two adjacent numbers. Like for example, so you can take any distance, like with the difference between 20 and 10 and 20 is will be equivalent to difference between 30 and 40. Okay, the difference between 1 degree to 2 degree will be equivalent to 2 degree to 3 degree. So it talks about what? It talks about the intervals, intervals in a correct form or in correct order, additionally with the name as well as with the order also. And lastly, when we talk about just a minute, when we talk about ratio, so ratio includes what? It includes an absolute zero. Okay, now please remember which the ratio scale when we talk about. So it talks about what? It talks about a name, it talks about the, that is category, name in the sense, I mean to say, it talks about the name, it talks about the category, it also indicates the interval. Okay, we have just seen it also includes what? It also includes the interval, but at the same time it also takes into consideration the absolute zero. So please remember when we say, okay, that is when we talk about what? When we talk about your ratio scale. So it includes what? Absolute zero. It means that here absolute zero, that the 0 point, it represents the absence of property. It means no. Okay, it does not exist. It does not, it shows no existence. That is the meaning of your what? Absolute zero. So that gets into consideration when we are talking about what? When we are talking about the ratio scale. Please try to understand. So ratio scales takes into consideration this. So these 4 scales you have to remember, category wise, ranking wise, adjacent, I mean to say equal intervals wise, and which has an or you can say which has an property of absolute zero. Okay, that is the property of ratio scale. Fine. Now yes, now there is one small question on this also. We have seen this looks very easy, but when it is taken into practice with the help of question answer form, it is very difficult for the students to attempt it. So let's understand. So when we talk about when we talk about population and sample, so from the population we have a subset that is called as sample. So there was one simple question, the subset of population is what? So subset of population is nothing but it is called as what? It is called as sample. Okay, now let's understand the difference between sample and population. So sample and population, what exactly, or what is the difference? So when we say population, it takes into consideration whole group, whereas sample is nothing but a part of group. Population group we want to know about, so exactly you want to study about it, but sample is that group we know about. We wanted to know about this group, but from that we have just got this much part, so we know about this particular group, that will be termed as what? Sample. So characteristics of population are called as the parameters, whereas the characteristics of samples are called as statistics. On this also there is a question. Okay, parameters are generally unknown, statistics are always known. Parameters are fixed, whereas statistics change with the type of sample. Okay, so the questions, if you see, the questions comes like that. I mean this is diagram which I always make use of so that it becomes easier for everyone to remember, but still after this also students have done a lot of mistake. So please remember, when we say parameter, something which measurement which is used to describe the population. When we say statistics, the one which is used to describe what? Something which is used to describe the sample. Now sampling frame. Now please try to understand sampling frame. Now see, we have done this sampling frame very well. So I hope you remember, just now we have done it properly. So when we talk about sampling frame, it is a device or a material from which sample is drawn. Sample is drawn. From sampling frame, we draw what? We draw the sample. Whereas sampling design is nothing. You can also call it as research design. For this, you can also call it as research design, through which it's a nothing but a roadmap for your research in the form of your planning, in the form of your methodology, as well as selecting your sample. So please try to understand this. There are simple questions, and in recent cycles these questions are seen. So you should be very clear with your concepts. Then only it will be again, no need to by heart over here. It is population is described with the help of what? Sample is described with the help of what comes under sampling frame or what comes under research design. That all is given. Okay, now sampling frame we did, it can be technical, it can be operational, that is form, observational, or it can be sample and design. So we have done that also in detail just before the few slides. Now then you have a next question where again you are expecting a question on this particular topic is your types of sampling. So you have probability and non-probability. Here also students get confused in few things, so I'll just clarify it quickly. So probability sampling, which is divided into simple random, stratified sampling, systematic sampling, and cluster. So when we say simple random sampling, so every member of the population has an equal chance of getting selected. Simple random. So like for example, this is your population. So till the time the sample is not selected, we say that, every member out of this population has an equal chance of getting selected. But I mean to say, it is once you just randomly pick up it in a simple form, you do not do any such conditions or clause. So that, when you select it in the simple form, it is just called as what you did, a simple random sampling. Now stratified sampling is the one where you divide the population into strata. Here see, if you see, you have divided that into the strata can be like gender, the strata can be age group, the strata can be income slab, and you divide them accordingly, and then you pick up them and then you do the sampling. So that is called as what? That is called as stratified. Now why stratified? Because you have divided them into the strata and then you are picking up, okay, then you are selecting it, and that's the reason it is called as stratified. Strata is nothing but the subgroup. Okay. Systematic sampling. Now systematic sampling, it talks about what? It talks about, choosing the samples with the help of system. So as I said, or I keep on saying, the system can be in any form. Okay, the system can be with the way you have drawn the condition. It can be even numbers, it can be odd numbers, it can be, maybe a specific system, what system or what principle you have drawn for your population. Based on that, you have selected the sample. So it is called as what? It is something which is called as it is something which is taken into consideration in order to select your sample. Okay. Probability in simple random is 1. Yes, 1 in the sense, equal. Everyone has a selection equal chance of getting selected, Shelly. That is the probability. Okay. Now in cluster sampling, now here see. Now cluster, again, now students get confused with stratified and cluster. See, under stratified, what we do, we divide them into the strata and then we pick up. Okay, pick up one from them. But under cluster, we divide them into the subgroup. Okay, cluster is also subgroup, and we entirely pick up the subgroup. Okay, we do not do it like stratified. We do not select among them. We entirely take the subgroup. Like for example, suppose if I have made a subgroup, like for example 1 to 5, the age group, then I have done 6 to 10, then I have done 11 to 15, and then I have 16 to 20. So if I pick up the entire age group of 6 to 10, I will call it as what? I will call it as cluster. Okay. But suppose from 1 to 5 I have picked 1, from 6 to 10 I have picked 1, from 11 to 12 I have picked 1. So like that, if I am picking from each strata, then it will be called as stratified. I hope it is very clear and very, simple. Don't complicate it. Okay. Now under non-probability, non-probability sampling, which gets divided into what? Convenient sampling. So it is something, which is as per the convenience of the researcher, which is completely easy, inexpensive in order to get the research data. So it is as per the convenience of the researcher. Now purposive sampling, or you can also call it as judgmental sampling, which involves the researcher using their expertise to select. Okay, like for example, they want a specific result. Based on their expertise, they select the samples and accordingly only they work. Okay. Voluntary response sampling, the one who are willing to come ahead, okay, can be a part of it. So you do not force, you just give a choice to the populations or sample that you are voluntary, you can pick up, and whether you can decide to participate or not. Snowball sampling, which is nothing but a network sampling, as I said, networking. Networking, as I said, this which is used in marketing. Through one network, you build up another. Now see, here also there was a question which was very easy, but a lot of students did it wrong in the question answer session. It was a question about, the drug information of the people taking not drugs, it means drug addict. Okay, so it was not medicine, it was drug addict. Definitely no one will tell that the person is drug addict. So in such type of research, you need to have what, you need to have a network. You need to have a network in order to create your, or in order to extract the responses. So that time you will use snowball sampling. So such type of questions can come in order to give the to say examples, and they will tell you which sampling is used. Pick up that. So you have to read the question very carefully and then accordingly answer. Okay, see, one thing I'll tell you, to say, just for a second only, I'm just distracting you. Irrespective, no doubt your studies should be done well, okay, with every preparation, but you should have one of the skills for this type of examination is reading your question. Okay, reading, to say skill, it means how to read it correctly. Many times the answer is very simple, it is very easy. Okay, there is no as such eureka, you can say, or there is no shortcut for that. Once your reading becomes perfect, you know the concepts. There are some students who have really done their best efforts but still couldn't qualify, because there may be some silly mistakes they must be doing. So that you have to ignore and you have to give your more concentration. There is no race that in one day you're doing 100 questions or 200 questions. It's not like that. How effectively, even if you do 10 questions, how effectively you do that 10 questions, that matters a lot. So that will help you not only to answer the questions correctly, but speed wise also you will really take off very well. It will happen, but it requires consistency and practice. That is two important things which is very important to keep in mind. Okay, yes. Now here again in quota sampling, so here again students gets confused. See, under quota sampling, they divide you into the cluster. Okay, but for that they make a condition. Okay, that, like, for example, okay, male above 50, okay, or females above 50, but with a specific condition. Okay, working in public sector or working in private sector, or having experience of so many years. So when you make a condition under the cluster, that will be resulting into what? That will be resulting into the quota sampling. Okay, please remember males. So like, for example, males under 50 or males from 51 to 55. So you have put a condition among your population that, okay, I want only this type of people. So when you make that condition, it is called as quota sampling. Okay, now yes, there was one question on data also. So I thought I'll just quickly take primary data and secondary data. Many times it comes to recognize the examples, which are they. So there is also confusion, so I will use this also today. Primary data and secondary data, but if both of them are used togetherly, then it is called as something tertiary data. This was one of the question in previous year question paper. What is tertiary data? Where you make use of your primary as well as secondary. Then such type of data is called as what? It is called as tertiary data source. Okay, so now primary data which are not pre-existing and are collected using observation, surveys and interviews, are called as what? Primary data. Secondary data which is already been collected, processed and reported, and we make a use of it for our research with the help of reference, then it is called as secondary data. It provides information if the existing data on your topic or project is not current or directly applicable to the questions which are being framed by the researcher. Offers an opportunity to review any and all secondary data which is available to your project which has been collected prior. Can be expensive and more time consuming, but it enables you to collect the data that is specific to the purpose of your evaluation. Will tell you what questions still need to be addressed. So secondary data, say with the help of secondary data, you can get a scope in order to understand what needs to be studied or what data should be still collected in order to take a research to a next level. Okay. Now, so examples, primary data can be done with the help of observation, interview, questionnaire, survey or focus group. Secondary data can be, with the help of publications at central or state or local government, with the help of journals, with the help of books, magazines, newspapers, reports, publications, industry, and stock exchange, reports by research scholars or universities or public records. But here also, once in one of the question, that was also university question, they have twisted the question. They have said that a incident narrated in the news paper, okay, will be counted as what? So in the newspapers, when we have the immediate incident gets covered, so that will be counted as what it is. It will be that time counted as what? The primary data. So remember one thing, if I mean to say, read the question carefully, whether it is emphasizing, okay, the incident has occurred and it has immediately, it is not talking about the newspaper which is 15 years back or 16 years back published. No, it is talking about incident which has occurred and will be immediately reflecting in the newspaper, where you are, you have observed the situation and given the information. So that will be your primary data in that case. Okay, there was one question which I have used in evaluation test. Okay, now yes, coming to the next part is your seminar, conference, symposium and workshop. Again, there are some questions. Now normally there are questions seen on workshops, that is hands-on experience. At such seminar and conference, that is not more, but let's have a look at this tabular format. It will help you to remember the things very well. Okay, so when we talk about seminar, the sessions are small in duration, conferences and symposium are long, workshops are long duration if it's specially for skills updation, and forum is again a small duration. Problem oriented, under seminar it is a broad area. Conference, symposium and workshop as well as forum, it takes into consideration only a specific problem or a specific issue, but in seminar it is having a broad perspective. Participants in seminar are active. In conferences, unless and until they are allowed to speak, otherwise it will be passive. Symposium is active. Again, in workshop it is passive unless and until they are been told to give the try it on. Otherwise they have to just do the work of listening till the time the speaker shows the things. Okay, forum also is passive. Theory, nature of theory, seminar it is theoretical, conference, symposium, everything excluding your workshop, wherein hands-on experience. So when you will be as in the audiences will be told to try, it will become what? Practical. Presentation, under seminar and conference it is one way, symposium both the way. Workshop and symposium, the experts are the session can be two-way communication. Workshop also both the way. Opposed, I mean to say, in forum, unless and until it has been opened for everyone, otherwise it will be it depends, it can be either one way or two way. Okay, then yes, purpose of seminar, it is to train or to make the learning happening. Purpose of conference is to share the information. Symposium is to discuss a particular subject in detail. Workshop is to do the things practically, and forum is basically on opinions. Exchange of information under seminar, it is done horizontally, that is in same line. Okay, whereas conference it is vertical. Symposium can be open for public discussion. Workshop can be vertical. Forum can be vertical. It's vertical. Training is done nowhere except only in workshop because it's hands-on experience. Procedure, more of the procedure, it's, I mean to say, in seminar, except seminar, everything is like a procedural, wherein the things have been planned or systematically set and has to be followed accordingly. A type of person involved in seminar can be different experts. Rest of them, it is similar depending upon a specific topic or a specific subject. So you have to have a panel, expert panel or from that particular domain area. In seminar, you can have a different opinions, either industry or academic, so you can merge up accordingly. Then yes, now yesterday a student told me, with this styles, like for example, specifically with the reference style, but I have searched lot of books. Okay, I have searched lot of examples, but see, I have seen previous year question papers also. Now whether it is APA style, which you have American psychological style, Harvard style, MLA style and Chicago style, so all the styles, you have to remember. See, I have made it very clear. Okay, I mean to say, I'm not saying that there is no shortcut trick for this. you have to remember the sequence of that style. Like for under APA style, it's that's the reason it is given with example. It requires the author's name, which is followed by its initial, the publication year, title followed by full stop, the name of the journal in italics. This is something, is this part of research is something which you have to learn bit and practice. I'm not saying by heart, because again you should not end up. So you can make a tabular format and learn, because here when you get a question for the styles, any question, so they give you 4 options, okay, with similarity you feel, but there is a small differences, and that cannot be just by looking you can find out. You have to see that this sequence which is given under APA, which is given under Harvard style, okay, which is given under MLA style, as well as which is given under Chicago style, has to be followed. Okay, so whether it is writing the name of the author, writing its initial, writing the page number, writing the title or the name of journal in italics, you have to follow this. Okay, still I mean to say, I have referred a lot of books, but in none of the books or online also I didn't get any information which I could make it easier with tricks. But I'll the search will be going on. Okay, I will ensure that something may come up and I can give you easiest form to remember it. Okay, see, normally anyone who is doing a research, we have the generators, we have all the style generators, so you just have to put the reference there and get it generated. So we do not give a lot of importance, but from exam point of view, you should know that how each and every style has to be written. That is very important. Okay, now, so this slide, this particular PPTs will come to you, so it is also updated on the app, so you can refer to it. But still I will work on on this particular thing and come up with at least some small of part of trick, which is which will definitely help you out. Fine. Yes, now comes to the last part. Now see, as I said, ICT, that is in research, okay, one topic which I didn't take, because what I'm doing is that I'm coming up with notes of ICT in every unit, like whether it is used in research, whether it is used in higher education, whether it is used in teaching aptitude, and whether it is used in ICT unit. So there are some similarities. So I'm coming up with that lecture also. For that also I will take a crash course where all ICT, which is used in common, this 4 units, that time I will take. Okay, so that's the reason I didn't include, because I didn't wanted let it go like that only. I just wanted to put it very clearly, and which I'm working, and very shortly I'll come for that particular lecture also. Yes, Pankaj, in net group I will come. I don't know whether I'm allowed to share in SET group. I need to find it out. Okay, yes, so last part is research ethics. Now in research ethics, yes, definitely the question is seen in research ethics, the question seen in like reporting format. But yes, what exactly is research ethics, and 2-3 things which you have to be careful, that I will take now. So research ethics is something where you are conducting the research in the form of what? In the form of ethical standards, where you need to have honesty when you're using the data, when you're using the methods, when you're using the procedures, when you're publicating your status. So it has to be it should not be fabricated, it should not be falsified, it should not misrepresent any data. So this you have to keep in mind. Objectivity, there has to be a purpose for your research, there has to be integrity, that there has to be some type of promises which you have to maintain, especially like for example, when you say that you're collecting the information from the respondents, it has to be kept confidential, it has to be, the care has to be taken for that. Okay, openness should be there in order to accept the criticisms, confidentiality with the help of secrets. Responsible publication, there should be no duplication, there should be no it should be properly publicized in the accepted journals. There should be no you can say like for example, just for the sake of publishing or just for the name of numbers you are publishing anywhere. No, it should not be done. There has to be responsible monitoring. If you are working as a guide for any researcher, you have to be responsible. Okay, now apart from that, next important thing is that research is something which has to have, a benefit to the society. So there has to be social responsibility. It should not discriminate any of the things based on the gender, based on the race, based on the ethnicity. There should be no discrimination. There has to be a proper competency in learning and using the information, and you have to follow, wherever necessary, you have to follow the rules and regulations, that is legality. Okay, now these two terms can be a part of this. You have to remember these two terms very well: fabrication and falsification. You can get this, so I have just highlighted it in different way. So when I say fabrication, you are making up a data or results. That means your results are not the way it is expected, but you are making up, you are trying to fix it, which is wrong, which is not, it is unethical. So if you do that, that is unethical. It means it is not correct. Falsification, where you are manipulating the things, you're manipulating your equipments, your process, you're omitting certain data, you are manipulating certain data, so that is again wrong. So if you get there is a question on falsification and fabrication also. So remember very well, if you fabricate, if you make up the data on your own, that is called as fabrication, and if you use a wrong data, that is called as what? It is called as falsification. Okay, so these things you have to remember very well and keep in mind. Fine. So yes, this was the last part. I know it is 90 minutes target. Maybe there are certain doubts, there are certain concerns, but as I said, this is not the end. Okay, this is not the end, this is just a start. Now in the crash course, we have 5 days, for dedicated for one particular unit. So under that also certain things will be taken. Apart from that, we are coming up with topic wise videos, so that will help you out. This is just to give you, okay, you have to study this much, and maybe at last moment you know that you can't do, at least with the help of this information you can go ahead, and if you keep your all your alertness, you can definitely come up with this information also. You can crack your research aptitude unit. So that's what was the attempt, and as I said, lot of things will come up in small videos where I will target with styles of referencing, or I will come up with again the errors video on type of errors, or video on specifically measurement scales. So this I will take into consideration, but this is something a whole part which will help you to understand, okay, this is the syllabus. Except ICT, I will definitely ensure that I'm coming properly, which will include everything. Okay.